good morning, and welcome to Your Business in Digital. I am Tamara Louis. I am so excited to be here today. How are you ladies doing? It is an all ladies show today. What is happening? How
Oh,
are you doing today?
pretty good, pretty good. How you all doing?
Amazing.
I'm really good, really good.
We miss you, Mike, but it's the all lady show today, my friend.
So, Mr. Michael Wilsh is on vacation. It's his wife's birthday. So, happy birthday, Rose. I know this is not airing on your birthday, but still happy birthday. Super excited to have you guys here to do this show. So, I think it's going to be awesome. Let's jump in and kick to the intro. Good morning, and welcome to Your Business in Digital. We have a jam-packed show for you today. Today, we are talking about LinkedIn, so that's going to be fun. But of course, we have the amazing Deborah Mitchell with us here today, so that's going to be awesome too. But let me tell you guys how you can connect with us, okay? So, Your Business in Digital is a show that we do to really help small businesses, medium businesses, business executives really connect the dots with digital and digital marketing, right? We want to make sure we're talking through those strategies. So, that's why we bring together true small business. We have sales and pricing in the building. Michelle Gordon up top today. We have Andrew Ragu in the building who is talking about, she's our virtual CFO, so she's always talking about finance. Usually Mr. Michael Wilshire is here with us and he's talking operations and how to get the stuff done. Today we have Deborah Mitchell with us and she is talking video strategy and how to leverage those videos to really take your business to the next level. And I, Tamara Louis, I talk about marketing and how to connect all the dots with your digital marketing efforts. So we want you to connect with us. We want you to tell a small business about this show, tell a small business executive about this show, tell a CFO, a CEO, a CMO, because we really help you connect those dots. Subscribe, check us out on YouTube. We are live on YouTube, we're live on LinkedIn, and we are everywhere podcasts are found. So definitely tell people about this show. We want you to go back to your CFO and say, digital helped increase my revenue by 10%, by 20% year over year. We really want you to start seeing the growth with your digital marketing efforts because we understand that you're putting in a lot of time, a lot of resources, a lot of money. So we want you to see that return on your investments. All right.
Yeah.
Love a good round of applause. All right. So we're moving fast because we're moving fast. We have to move fast today. So, you know what, Debbie, I am going to let you introduce your segments because you are.
Oh, thank
So,
you.
go for it.
So, hi, everybody. It's good to be back. It's Debbie Mitchell. And as Tamara said earlier, I am a video marketing strategist and I work with business executives to get themselves online by using long and short video and video content and to grow their audience, connect and hopefully convert their audience into customers. And if done correctly, you get on the radar of the media outlets, producers who are out there looking for experts.
Excellent, excellent. Well, today I know you are having a conversation that I'm super excited about because I mean, like when you shared this with me, I thought it was the coolest thing.
You love this story.
Yeah, I do. It's such a great case study. So I'm excited that you're going to share it with the audience. So I'm going to let you do your thing and talk about.
Okay, so I'm going to talk about my OG client, Plants of the Gods. It's the podcast that is hosted by renowned ethnobotanist, Dr. Mark J. Plotkin. And we hit 1 million downloads this summer, 1 million. So that is the great news. And it's pretty amazing. The podcast is something that we started. Yay, thank you. So the podcast is something that we started in 2020 when we were all on lockdown. And Dr. Plotkin, he actually wrote a book that year. And because everybody was on lockdown, he couldn't go on a book tour. So we decided to do a book launch, a virtual book launch for him. And he decided to launch the podcast. So the podcast, in case for those of you who don't know, an ethnobotanist is a scientist who studies plants of the regions, and Dr. Plotkin is also the founder and president of the Amazon Conservation Team. So they do a lot of work with people, the indigenous community in the Amazon rainforest, and they've been around. It's a nonprofit that's been around for close to 30 years, but he's been in the field for over 4 decades. So he is the old school. I like to call him the what is the oh my God, I can't even remember the I'll say the expert on the rainforest right now. It's slipping my mind right now as far as who I'm comparing him to. But he is amazing. And he has a following that came with the podcast. So that's one of the things that was really great about him as a thought leader. He already had people. So the podcast deals with alternative therapies, plant-based healing, and the environment. And before I met Dr. Plotkin, I knew nothing about ayahuasca, marijuana, magic mushrooms, or shamanism. So a lot of the podcasts deal with the topics of shamanism and how you use shamans in the ayahuasca when you're taking these herbal medicines. So there is a following, a niche audience that has been around that came with the podcast, and they helped to grow it. They listen to us bi-weekly, and they've definitely brought the podcast to where it is now. So if you don't know what a shaman is, it's a medicine man. It's a medicine man who knows the medicine, the plants of the region. And that's why it's important to have the shaman there when you're going to partake in any of these medicines of the rainforest. And so Dr. Plotkin has, like I said, knowledge beyond, but he also has friends and acquaintances and colleagues who work in this field who have also brought their knowledge to the podcast. So that's been really helpful. The evolution of the podcast has been really interesting. So that's what I want to talk about too, because when we first started in 2020, Dr. Plotkin wanted to be the solo host of the podcast because, like I said, he's a wealth of knowledge, and to find someone to keep up with him was pretty difficult. And I knew that he could handle the 30-minute podcast, but I wanted him to have guests. And for him, he wanted to do it himself. And it worked great, but it's a lot of work to put it together. And we did that for a short while where he was the main host. We live streamed. Live stream was very important because once the podcast came out every week, we would do a Facebook Live. And that way his audience could engage with him in real time. So we would, similar to this podcast, we would live stream to his LinkedIn, to the Facebook, to the YouTube channels of Amazon Conservation Team, in addition to his personal account. So he had a very broad audience that was listening. So in the beginning, it was just him as the solo host. And then he went on to invite some of those colleagues that I talked about. And what was great was they brought their knowledge and they brought their audience. So it's building. We were building on the audience, building on the knowledge. And it was definitely less pressure on him as a host because he was co-hosting. So we did that for a while. And then the world opened up and Dr. Plotkin was out on the road again. Like many business people, he's busy. Time is of the essence. And so we had to find a way to be super productive with putting the podcast together. And how we did that was that we were able to invite his guests on, spend about an hour talking to them, and then break those segments up into part 1 and part 2. So we were able to still produce our 10 episode seasons, but use our time more efficiently. So we were producing 1-hour segments, dividing them up into part 1 and part 2, and it was saving him time, but we were still getting the great value out of the podcast. So like any other business, there are principles and strategies for growth, key elements that you need to follow in order to keep your audience interested and grow them over time. As we always say, building trust and consistency is one of the great ways to start. So we were consistent over all the channels. The podcast comes out bi-weekly. It's 10 episodes per season. And for how many years? 6 seasons. We're in our 6th season now. We've shown up, he's shown up, and we've made it work. Driving brand recognition was also important. So we always had a clear, unified message. His topics and themes for each episode is very clear. And we promoted it beforehand so people knew what they were getting the day of the drop when the episode dropped. We're persistent as far as definitely reaching out to people, engaging with them when they engage with Dr. Plotkin. So they know that he is a part of the process. And the topics are so different and engaging. Like I said, I didn't know about some of these topics beforehand, but all of a sudden I'm hearing ayahuasca in the news, ayahuasca in modern medicine. Ayahuasca is being used to treat depression. So he's topical and informative. And those are some of the things that you need to just keep the business going, keep the podcast growing, and to keep the audience engaged. Always deep diving into interesting topics. It's been an amazing ride, and I am looking forward to continuing. If you want to hear the podcast, I suggest you go to where you can listen to any of your favorite podcasts, Spotify. Go back to our YouTube channel and listen to them there, and you'll get caught up in everything. But Plants of the Gods, 1 million downloads. Very excited. Oh, they call him the Indiana Jones of the Amazon. I couldn't remember Indiana Jones. Oh my God, it was going out of my head. He's the Indiana Jones of the Amazon conservation.
That's so awesome. I mean, like, just when I heard about this, first of all, I was just like, okay, this is pretty big. This is pretty big. Amazon conservation. The whole thing is big, right? And then I'm like, the podcast. And then I remember when I first saw the numbers, I was just like, oh my goodness, you know what I mean? When we first connected about a year ago and you shared this with me, I was like, this is so wild. And people like really follow him, and he has like it seems like the audience, the age, like he doesn't have a specific age rate, right? The demographic is pretty wide, because people are taking in bite-sized bits of whatever is important to them. But just to watch the people download it and stay so highly engaged. And he's, you guys have done a great job of keeping him relevant and expanding his audience even more, right? He's like a rock star. He's like a rock star.
I thought it was amazing when first off, I love the humble mic drop of 1 million downloads. Thank you very much. I enjoyed that and that is something very much, to sing from the mountaintop, but also to put it out there to say over the course of 6 years, it has, it's evolved. It wasn't not just a one-hit wonder, but it wasn't an overnight success. It was a lot of work, a lot of parts and learnings to get to that space. And what a great place to be able to say that's a whole lot of zeros to get to 1 million. And that is fabulous and something that people can aspire to. I think that is really helpful, and I'm enjoying that you put that there. And then the other thing, and then I'll go and check the mic, is that what I really like too is the way that he was open to expanding, initially doing everything on his own, and then eventually saying, well, sure, let me share the stage. And not only did he share with very credentialed people, but it expanded the room and warmed an audience. He walked into, like you've said before, a warm room with people who said, let me listen in. And that is really important for us to consider as we are partnering. We talk about partnerships all the time here in Your Business and Digital, and how bringing the right people into the appropriate space with the right topic at the right time can be a stellar move that really helps to exponentially move your business and the podcast forward. So kudos to you, my dear. That is fabulous, and continue. I can't wait to get to hear the next zero that's added on. That's phenomenal.
We're looking forward to it. Thank you. Thank you.
Listen, I just love that y'all made plants viral. I just love that y'all made the bush just viral and everybody wants to hear about it. It's really a very interesting topic. And you hit this million mark, says that people want to hear about it. So kudos to you for making this. You always say it that everything could be made sexy.
Exactly. That is a great example, Andrea. Yep.
Right, but What I love though is that, as Michelle was saying, the collaborative effort that he
Mhm.
was open to, because that's something that's, as small business owners, we need to talk more about. That collaboration is a legitimate pathway to growth.
Mhm.
We just stuck on our hamster wheel of us alone, and we're
Mhm.
just going, and all we think about growing is just do more, do more, do more, when you can simply just open yourself to work with other people, and you gain access to their audiences, as you were saying, and it helps with your growth. So I really find this is a very fascinating story.
Yeah.
Congratulations on this
Oh,
on this milestone. Um,
thank
and
you.
soak it in, soak it in.
I am.
As I
I'm
said,
really.
everyone check out this podcast.
Yes, definitely check it out. It's so much great information, and like I said, it's funny you don't hear about things until you know about them. Because, like I said, ayahuasca was not on my radar, and then it's in pop culture, it's in the news, it's crazy. So I'm like, wow, we are timely, and I had to learn as a producer too to be patient. I had to follow my client because I knew what he needed to do, but I had to follow him and let him come into his space too when he was ready. So I had to grow in that way. And so it's been a process and a good one because we've come together and the trust is there and we've found a nice space to be in, to work in, and to continue to grow. So yeah, it's been pretty cool.
Listen, more round of applause for you. Enough. I cannot get enough of this podcast. I think it's so awesome. And I think one of the other things before you head, I want to highlight too is the fact that he couldn't go on a book tour,
Right.
and right now you created this other medium. So now if he writes another book or has something, this is where he
Mhm.
can release it first, right? So he has this digital presence because it's part of his online presence that he can use to get in front of, I don't know, 1 million people that downloaded it or maybe, you know what I mean? So all of a sudden now here's this new audience that you can start promoting things to. So it gives the idea of a book tour a completely different spin, right? Because now here's the digital component that can also have reach, because probably a lot of these people would probably be interested in reading his book, right? Just imagine if just 5% of them bought his next book.
Yeah, that would be so exactly. And I got to give kudos to his daughter because his daughter is the one who encouraged him to go to do the podcast. She's like, get into the digital space. So he's a man of a certain age. He's used to doing things a certain way. And his daughter was the one who encouraged him to do the podcast. So, yeah.
Debbie,
That's
this was awesome.
amazing.
Thank you very much. I'm really excited about it.
Of 1 million of anything. All right. We're
I
like
am
a
going to
million.
get a t-shirt. I'm going to get a t-shirt.
Come on, I told you already.
I
I'm
know
like,
you said that.
I have a sash on, I have a t-shirt, I get a
Mhm.
tattoo. People be like, what are you doing? I'm like, 1 million downloads.
I got a
Ask
million
me about,
downloads.
yeah, I mean, like, it's ask me about my 1 million download, right? So
Mhm.
I think it's something, kudos to you, congratulations. That's really
Thank
huge.
you.
And also, it's a great move for you as someone who is a video producer, Emmy nominated, and now
Mhm.
look at how you're moving in the digital space where you're getting someone with a podcast to get 1 million downloads. So you're taking that skill set that you had that was an offline skill set and really translating it into digital, because you understand it's just a different medium and you know how the strategies work. So it goes back to the work that you've been doing for all these years that you're leveraging to really move this forward. So how are you
Yeah.
combining the past with the future, right? So we love that too.
Yeah, I think the pandemic changed a lot of things for business, the way we do business. And you're right. That's a great example of how it's changed my life, my pivot. So, yeah.
So the pivot.
You're the pivot, a reflectable pivot.
Right. All right. Well, Debbie, I know you have to go because I know you have to head
Yeah.
out to your presentation. Thank you so much for joining us. This was
Great
awesome.
seeing you,
We
ladies.
absolutely enjoyed it. And we'll see you next week. Take it
See
easy.
you later.
All right. Take care. Bye. 1 million downloads. Isn't that cool? I love when our community thrives. That's just so awesome.
That's so amazing. I'm like, count the zeros. Let's just
I know,
count
right?
the zeros.
That's the
Count the
only
zeros.
times you listen.
She told me about it the first time. I was just like, what?
Mhm. That's one of those things that you don't put the one and then the word million or the 1M. You write literally put the zeros so that we can count, because that is a monumental achievement. Monumental.
Absolutely, absolutely. All right. Well, we're moving on along. So that was a great, great segment. Moving on along. So we are moving on to one of our core segments, which is our Go Beyond the Like segment. I got to get the. There we go. So what is Go Beyond the Like? All right. So maybe I'm OGing a little bit. So, what is our Go Beyond the Like segment? Our Go Beyond the Like segment is where we go beyond those likes and follows and really get to those true strategies, right? We want to get you to that place of where's your ROI? What is the strategy doing to help you get to the steps in your goal, right? And today we are talking about LinkedIn. LinkedIn essentials from nice to have to need to have. So this is going to be a great conversation. Recently, the digital marketer, I have been talking a lot about different channels and platforms, right? And recently, I've been talking about LinkedIn a lot. We are live on LinkedIn. We've been using LinkedIn a lot more, especially for the podcast, right? When we did our move from Clubhouse, we went right into LinkedIn. We broadcast in a few other places as well, but we just really saw the value in LinkedIn and what it could do, right? So what I love about LinkedIn, I'm getting ahead of myself. What I loved about LinkedIn is that this is a platform that Microsoft purchased a few years ago, right? They purchased this platform and they've really been spending time. So Microsoft is in the social media game. Could you imagine that, right? We've never thought about it that way. We know that. We know everybody else in the social media game, but we've never thought about Microsoft really being in the social media game. And they are in the social media game, which is really awesome. But LinkedIn is that platform that people have thought about for so long as that space of, this is where I go to get a job, right? This is where I go to do the stuff for a job that I'm getting. But actually, it's really not just where you go to get a job. It's now a place where you go to build yourself as a subject matter expert. It's where you connect with people who are you're doing business with. It's where you go to find people that you can do business with, right? It's where you do so many things. And this platform is more than just a resume job platform. And as business owners, we all understand that, right? We've been using it in that way. We get that it's so beyond just a resume. So we really want to make sure that you understand that and that you're able to utilize LinkedIn in a way that makes sense. So today, that's what we're going to talk a little bit about, right? So LinkedIn is really, it's just been a transformational place for us, especially for the last 6 seasons of our podcast. One of the first things I want to talk about is your LinkedIn profile and the opportunity to really optimize that LinkedIn profile in a way that makes sense, right? This is where you get that. This is the first impression. So someone comes in, right? Your Facebook is kind of like your friends and family, right? Your Instagram is like, your hot girl pictures. Right? Those shots that you're a little bit more risque. But LinkedIn is this place where you get to put forth your professional look and feel, right? So it's really thinking about that profile all the way from what does your brand image look like, right? Do you have a professional headshot? And having that headshot, the background, setting up your services, really optimizing your profile so that when people get there, as a business owner, they understand what it is that you're doing. As a business executive, they understand what your job is. What do? You get an opportunity to talk a little bit about yourself as well. But on your profile, you also get an opportunity to get people to give you recommendations and to do things, talk about your services, but really making sure that you spend quality time building out that profile, because that profile is so important. It's the first impression. And I know both you ladies have spent time thinking about it ad nauseum, updating it, right? I'm in the process of updating mine. I'm like, do I have too many emojis in my email about section? But I went back to it the other day and I read it and I was just like, oh my goodness, it's who I am, right? It talks about being from Trinidad. It talks a little bit about Carnival. It talks a little bit about, my mentor highlights. It talks about some of the projects I'm really, really proud of. So I looked at it and I was just like, could I make some tweaks? Absolutely. But there's something in there that I really am comfortable with. And then when people read it, it seems like here's a little bit about me, but then here's a little bit about my professional experience as well. So what has been your experience with optimizing your LinkedIn profile?
I like to think about the LinkedIn profile as the online version of a cover letter, what we used to call a long time, the cover letter. You attach your resume and you have the cover letter that kind of summarizes yourself, and it kind of tells people a little bit about you and that sort of thing. So the thing about what the LinkedIn profile does, it removes that, right? It's the online, to me, it's the online version of that paper that we used to have a while back, right? Maybe I'm showing my age by saying that. Young people now probably don't know what a cover letter is. But anyways, so the way I look at it is, if you approach it from that perspective, and this is the first impression, and you want to make sure that you give people enough about what it is that you're doing. From my experience, that LinkedIn bio, I've been tweaking it so many times because as you evolve, as the business evolved, because when I initially started, it wasn't what I was doing now. It was a different slant I was taking, still in the finance way, but over the years, I've continuously tweaked. And that LinkedIn profile is the place where you get to put out that, 10 to 15 seconds read of, oh, this person is in this space and does this. So immediately people will know this is something that I want to know more about or not right now, that kind of way. So I have found it to be very useful because that you learn to summarize yourself. I think you learn to summarize yourself in a way that it's succinct, and oh, this is what this person does. This is what they are about, and people can move on. So I think I found it to be very useful. I'm still tweaking it. Of course, you're always tweaking as you continuously, evolve as a business, as a person. But I find it to be very useful as a way, one, as a cover letter for ourselves, and two, as a nice way to summarize ourselves so that people get this snapshot of who we are.
To add on to what you're saying, I liken it to, this is going to be crazy when I say this, but it because we tend to hide behind things. To me, this is, consider yourself walking into a networking environment, and it's that first impression of what you look like and what you say. And we know how these events are. There are a lot of people. There's a lot of noise, and this is your opportunity to make everything fall into the background. They just fade into the background, and the bright light is on you. And not just words, but they get to see the color version of you, with all the different blues and the reds and the greens, but also a bit of your personality in that profile. So not just your picture, but in your that background component, but the words that you have there. So I enjoyed what you said, Tamara, about, your emojis, but because that's almost your voice that's coming through, and the pitch and the tenor and tone of your voice is coming through with the words that you choose to put there. So while you're giving your resume in there and your credentials, and you're literally saying, yeah, I'm big and bad and I'm bold, but also this is the way the way I approach things. And that comes through in the words that you're saying, the photo that you put out there, and the backdrop that you're putting there. It's speaking to you, your personality, in that 7 seconds that you have before somebody else walks across you and interrupts the conversation that you're having. And we know that's exactly what happens with everything that rolls through a feed within LinkedIn. You have just a few seconds, like everything else in our world, to capture someone's attention. So take that opportunity and let your personality show a little bit through there, along with your professional credentials. And you're also, at that point, you're selling, you're inviting people into your space, and also allowing them to self-qualify themselves out. So that's there within your profile.
I love that. I love that. Okay, wait, hold on a second. I got to get to a place where I get you some applause. No, that makes total sense. All right. So on to point number two, right? Okay, that's point number three. On to point number two. Build an intentional network. Focus on quality. So I'll go back to the point that I made. For a long time, this was the resume platform, right? So the people that we have as our followers, friends, connections are tend to be people that we may have worked with in the past, right? I know I was definitely guilty of that. People that I worked with in the past, they're amazing. But as a business owner, they are not my target audience, right? They are not my target audience. While they're amazing, that's great. So now I have to really be intentional about the network that's on my LinkedIn if I want to get in front of my audience. How do I leverage my profile to make sure that I'm connecting with people who may potentially want to do business with me, right? Or who could introduce me to people that may want to do business with me. So it's about really going in and cleaning up that network, right? Understanding, oh, my goodness, I haven't talked to this person in over 10 years. I wonder, maybe checking to see what are they doing now? Are they doing something different? Are they going to be in your world, right? It's okay to say hi and then maybe say bye, but cleaning up that network a little bit. Understanding when you go to networking events, offline events. When I go to networking events now, the first place I connect with people is on LinkedIn. If I've talked to someone and I feel like, hey, this person can either, again, I would like to do a one-on-one with them, learn a little bit more about what they're doing. They could potentially be a client. Kind of put people in buckets, right? I'm not judging them, but I am putting them in my little buckets. And then I connect with them on LinkedIn. Because then I'm saying to myself, I'm getting in front of people, I'm getting in front of those people, then they get to see the podcast, they get the notifications of what I'm posting, so they then get to understand what I'm doing. So I'm really intentional, and you should be intentional about those people that are following you. So ladies, I'm gonna pass it over because I know this is a big, this is a big deal here, right? You can have the greatest LinkedIn profile with the greatest content. If you have the wrong people as your connections, then what's happening? Right, it's this.
I have strong opinions about this one, and for a couple of reasons. So I'll start backward and work forward. Many of us, as we stated here, we have been on LinkedIn for years, for a long time. And your profile tends to start with, especially if you're in a corporate world or with the people that you work with and connecting there. And as you progress in your career and possibly eventually move out and want to begin your entrepreneur journey, then that's a pivotal point in your world as you are progressing, and it's an opportunity for you to assess those relationships, assess what those connections are, and then where you need to expand upon those because they have moved on as well in many instances. And like Tamara said, what is, I don't want to say the value of that relationship, but is it time to warm that relationship up again? And then understand and find mutual beneficial places for you to remain and strengthen your communication and partnerships, or understand where they fit in that space. And it's important for you to do that. And for those young people that are about to embark into that place, this is not Facebook. This is a professional space. And thus you should consider that and treat it. And in that component of that network, which might still be a socialized place that will eventually get to it, but what's that second and that third connection? So I would also invite you to not just remove them, but to understand that it may need to sit and sit cold for a second, because sooner or later, you may run across someone that understands that connection, and that's enough to warm the room for you. That's enough to warm the room and provide a sliver of a place of trust for them to say, oh, they are connected to Andrea someplace. Let me follow that path and trail. And through that path and trail, what they will also begin to find is your resume. They will understand the breadth of your work history and your credentials, which is really important because it's reading close to your testimonial. So it's really important for you to assess and properly segment those current contacts that you have, what new contacts that you can get because it's a second or third connection, and then those where you're just really cold and you need to add to it to expand your breadth of communications and begin to tiptoe into those spaces to further your network. It's really important for you to have that out there so that anything that you put in that space to make a future connection, or as Debbie said in our hot topic, to expand the network and to warm the room for you. You know, you're just yelling into a void space if you don't have the appropriate contacts or the ability for LinkedIn to say, oh, the algorithm can work in this way because of the very connections that Michelle has. Just food for thought.
Basically, I mean, what Michelle said, but what basically we're looking at is connections really are, I guess, more of a sales preempting your sales almost, right? Because it's the pathway. It's This is where potentially the sales could come. So you want to make sure that those tentacles are spread out in the right places as opposed to spread out in places that are not going to eventually build out into anything. So and I like the fact that, being intentional, because yes, it could lead to sales, but if your intention is, well, I'm just trying to build a network so that I could meet these people, or so that I can expand my reach, that's fine as well. The point about it is being very intent with accepting those connection requests and looking for those connections, as opposed to saying, I'm just looking for the number of connections. I'm just looking to cross 2 to 3,000 connections because we think it looks good. It makes us look a particular way. But it's okay if your connection is less than 1,000, but it's meaningful and it's achieving for you what you set out with the intent. So for some people, the intent could be, I'm just trying to get myself connected to other thought leaders. That could be an intention as well. I want to be connected to certain thought leaders in my industry because I'm trying to build these people in my industry. And for others, it could be, well, I'm trying to close a sale in the end. So I'm looking for my potential buyers. So you go, but both ways are very, very much intentional, as we're saying, very much with thought and with purpose.
To add, mhm. I want to add a component to this too, to encourage our audiences to think of it in another way also. The algorithms will algorithm in this space. So if you're not intentionally walking and connecting into spaces that are important to you, you will receive things in your inbox and on your feed that are of no interest to you or your business and will take you down a cold path. And that's important as well for you to keep your inbox clean, for you to keep your feed appropriately aligned with what you're trying to do for your business. So there's a second side of this, to invite things into your world and also to discourage things from coming in that are of no interest to you, your business, or the parties that you're trying to associate yourself with. So there's a dual purpose in this. We have all received a lot of spam mail in different places, and just think of it in that way. You're going to end up with things that you have no intention of entertaining, and that's just another thing that you have to spend time addressing if you're not intentional with not just your profile, but those that you are associating yourself with. So another, added plus to invest a little time in your profile, in your connection.
Absolutely, ladies. Oh my goodness, we are running. All right. So moving on to point number 3. Share valuable content and be a thought leader. So I know the term thought leader. People are like, what is that? I remember when I first heard it a few years ago, I was just like, huh? Just a thought leader. It's like this weird thing. You put these words together, right? It sounds a little bit obnoxious too, right? I am a thought leader. But it's really about you being a subject matter expert, right? And we're all subject matter experts here, right? You in sales and financing, you in finance, sales and pricing, marketing, right? And so on LinkedIn, you get to talk about those things. Exactly what we do here at the podcast. This is the tool that we use as our vehicle for being thought leaders, right? We say, hey, we come on, we talk about digital, we talk about all our areas of expertise in this podcast. So you have an opportunity to showcase what it is you do, what your the professional side of you, right? To talk about that. So whether it's through a podcast, whether it's through a blog, whether it's through your posts, whether it's through emails on LinkedIn, that's what you have an opportunity to do. And then people start looking and they're like, oh, this is what she does. Okay, let me connect the dots of what it is she does. Got you. Let me check this out. She's into digital marketing. I hear about that. They keep hearing the beyond the likes. So they start hearing, they start watching, and they start consuming that content. And really then, as they start consuming your content, they start realizing, oh, she really is a subject matter expert. And you start staying top of mind. So when they're ready to make the leap, that they come to you, right? Because they know, hey, this person has been on LinkedIn in the professional space talking about their area of expertise. So I really love the idea of using the tool to be able to position yourself as a subject matter expert in your field. What do you guys think?
So I'm going to use Michelle's word on this. I have strong opinions about this. Right? So the word thought, I have a problem with the word thought leader, right? I think a time ago I did read a post, and I think somebody tried to explain the difference. I prefer subject matter expert. I feel like that's more the common term, and that more says, and from a practical perspective, what you end up doing. Thought leader tends to be people, they see thought leaders as changing the industry. Like if you're putting things out there that you're the first person to say this theory of things, and you're trying to push the industry forward. And I'm not saying that that's not a good thing, but I just want people to think about if you can't be a thought leader, if you feel that sounds it sounds impressive and it sounds imposing, I'm with you. Yeah. I'm glad to be a subject matter expert. You can ask me questions about my area of expertise, but I'm not sure if I'm quite thought leader material yet. So I just want to put that out there. But I think all that this point means is that you want to make sure that people know what you know, right? So you want people to be sure that, oh, I can go to tomorrow for digital marketing. You don't want to be confused. You don't want your post to be confusing, because half the posts talk about, oh, a day in the life with me as I go to the cafe. No, right? You're posting about, well, what did you do when you got to the cafe? Did you have business calls? Did you meet with a client? I want to hear about that, right? I really want to hear about the daily life, right? No disrespect to daily life videos. I understand they have a purpose, right? But the point about it is that you want people to know what you know, so that they know what to expect, and that they come to you. And as Michelle likes to say, they could qualify themselves out, because if you're speaking something that they don't want to know about, well, okay, they could bounce. But you want to make sure that your posts, if not thought leadership type, at least subject matter experts, where people kind of know, oh yeah, this person knows about this particular topic, and I'm sure they can help me with my problem.
Oh my goodness,
Drop
you're
mic.
Good job, Mike. Oh my goodness. All right. So we love this portion. Embrace video. It is the future of engagement, especially on LinkedIn. I cannot tell you enough, right? We're doing video right now, and it's going to be on LinkedIn. LinkedIn actually has a cool new feature that Debbie talked about this on the show a few weeks ago, so definitely go back and check it out. She talked about that video capability. Now, we've been doing video on LinkedIn for the last few years, but now there's this cool, like almost like a TikTok style feature on LinkedIn on your phone where you hit video, and it's just you can scroll through just like TikTok, right? So Microsoft, I'm just saying, it's doing its thing. So it's a great area for you. I know a lot of people are like, oh, I'm not ready to do video, right? It's time as a subject matter expert or a thought leader. You get an opportunity to sit down and say, hey, you know what? I want to create this 30-second video that gives us maybe two or three points, two or three great points that you can delve into and you can share that, right? Spend time using your camera, using your phone to create these videos because there's value in it, because people are consuming video all the time. Every time we look, the video numbers go up and up and up and up and up and up, right? People are watching more and more video. They're consuming that bite-sized bit of content. So then they may hear you for 30 seconds, but then they may click over to come and watch an hour-long video if there's value. That's really your hook, right? So really embrace video on this platform. I cannot tell you, we've been watching the analytics and we've been watching the number of people that are now watching our video. We have a business page, which we'll talk about that in a little bit. But we watch the number of people that watch our videos across YouTube, across LinkedIn, across Facebook, Instagram, and on LinkedIn, we're really seeing that traction. It's getting impressions, and the viewership is actually more than the impressions. So we understand that we have an audience that's coming in to catch the video, to watch the video. We understand the watch times. So there's real value in having video on LinkedIn. I cannot say it enough. Microsoft has spent time really helping to develop the platform. And if you check your phone out, I don't know if it's been released in every country, but if you go to your phone, there's an area down at the bottom where it says video, and just start scrolling and you'll see what that looks like. But you definitely want to be a part of that. Juma, one of our partners, has a great post on how to create those LinkedIn videos and how to set it up. It's such a great post. So definitely check him out on that. But it's a good, really, really important piece of the pie. I mean, ladies, jump in and talk a little bit about video on LinkedIn and the importance and what you've seen and how it's helped to move your business forward.
I'm in the 12-step program for videos. I just will admit, it is, and it's crazy for me to say that as someone who is always in front of a camera. I'm always in front of an audience. I do most of my work in visually. Here's the thing that I want all of our community to embrace, and I'm going to hold your hand as I talk through this with you. Here's your why in this. We are easily keyboard people. Easy for us to type, easy for us to move through. It gets lost in translation. Your message is really lost in the word translation, and how the person on the other side is reading that intonation by typing is often misinterpreted. Your message, it's easy for us to actually record and just speak our truth and speak our thought in you, and that's your authentic way of coming across. It's a great value in your branding and people understanding what you really mean, the intonation of your voice. That recognition will eventually come across, and they will understand who you are, the words that you're trying to say, and it will marry along with the visuals that you've presented and the words that sit in your profile. It speaks to you in a way that nobody else can. And they can be brief. They can be 30 seconds. Start with 15. Start with that message that you were going to type into someone else's comment section. And instead of typing it, video it and say, I have a thought on this. And briefly speak to who it is and post it. Don't worry about it being really polished. Actually, you don't want it to be so polished. You want it to be real and have it come across. So that's the person that they're going to get when they are in person, when they're looking at you across this little, camera that we have here, but it's you. And what will eventually happen to you, and I will guarantee this because it's happened to all of us in this space, is you could be in a networking event and someone will hear your voice and they will have whiplash. Their heads will spin on a swivel and say, that sounds like Andrea. That sounds like Michelle. I think that's Tamara. I know that voice. And they will lean into it and come to you. And that's warmly opening up that space for you. So while it might seem daunting, while you might feel like you're unpolished, trust me, practice. do it offline first and then put it out there. And I think you would be quite pleasantly surprised at the reception that you have and how it becomes part of a practice for you and will come naturally to you more than you typing on that keyboard to get a message out. And you'll do it quickly. Juma is excellent at it. He does it all day, every day. He's really polished with it, but look at everything that's built up to it. I think you will enjoy the journey that all of us have had as we've walked into that space.
I love that. Cool.
One thing I would say about video, and I've seen it happen firsthand, video actually is the introduction to you, right? So when they see you in person, they feel easier to come and speak to you. And if you are in a networking space and you're trying to close a sale or something, video is that pre-introduction to you. So when they see you, they go, "Oh my gosh, I watch your videos," and immediately a conversation starts. I've seen it happen to me where I go to events and people say, "I've seen your videos," and that immediately is the conversation opener. That without the videos probably would have been more difficult in the networking space because it's cold at that point. They can't connect. So all this is what we're saying in terms of how LinkedIn is helping you, bridge the connection and build your network. Think about video that way. That it's that initial introduction, so that when you see people in person, it actually becomes easier because it now becomes the conversation start. And hey, I saw your video and I found it was so interesting. And immediately the conversation, the doorway opens, and you could end up closing a sale at the end of that conversation, or you end up booking a meeting that could lead to something else. And if you're not, you're afraid of it not looking polished, that's what filters are for, right? I know as women, that's the one thing we have a problem with. We always want to look, have the face done. That's why there are filters now. I love them. You could try to use it and take the pressure off of yourself of having to look big. So your video has been really really good at just being that, breaking the ice. That's the word I've been trying to find. It really breaks the ice in introductions and helps you to push the conversation forward.
Absolutely, 100%. I can say I go places now. People are like, "Oh, I saw your video. I hear your voice. I see you everywhere." And I'm like, "Oh my goodness." In my mind, I'm like, "That's a good thing." And then sometimes I'm like, "Oh my God, it's a little creepy." But it's intentional, right? That's what we're doing. We're really trying to, cast that net so that people can hear you and start consuming your content and getting to know you. So I love that. So I'm going to run through these other few points because I know we have, I definitely want to get to, final thoughts. We're having too much fun without Michael being here. All right. So leverage LinkedIn Sales Navigator, a must for B2B. So this one is really important, right? If you are looking to build a prospect list, and most people kind of start off with, where do I start? I need to sell something. Where do I start? LinkedIn Sales Navigator is a great place for that, because it allows you to connect with your target audience. You have to really understand who your target audience is to use LinkedIn Sales Navigator. It allows you to connect with your target audience, but then it allows you to understand who your first tier connections, who your second tier connections, who your third tier connections. So meaning that, who are the people that are directly connected to you? Who are the people that are connected to people that you know? And who are the people that may be connected to people that other people know, right? This allows you to start building a prospect list of people that could be in your network, people that you need. You can have a friend introduce you to. So if Michelle has someone that I want to meet, like, hey, this person's on my prospect list. How do you know them? Can you do an intro for me? Can you give me, so that moves that into a warm conversation. Maybe can you get me a one-on-one with this person to get in front to see if they're interested in my services, or just to start building and nurturing the relationship, right? Usually when I connect with people first, my intent is to not sell them something, but to build a relationship. And I sometimes just say that, let's start building a relationship, see where it goes. Because eventually, if it will lead to a sale, it will lead to a sale based on their timeline. So Sales Navigator is a really, really good tool. It's a great tool for salespeople. Michelle, I'm going to let you jump in and talk about Sales Navigator, because as a salesperson, this here is a gold mine.
It is like being in a bank vault where you have access to just everything and you can just pick what you want, how you want, and just wherever you can wrap your arms around and move around. It is the lovely thing about this is when you understand who your target audience is and where you're trying to go and what you're trying to accomplish for your business. Sales Navigator, again, the power of Microsoft, will allow you to filter in who your profile is and find those people with their contact information to reach out to them to introduce your business. The efficiency component of Sales Navigator is almost unmatched because the information they have there is based upon what we users in that platform have put in there. So titles, positions, what the business profile is, all of that resides within LinkedIn, and therefore the Sales Navigator is there and it will allow you to move what I call the noise out of the way so that you can be laser focused on what is your audience, and also allow you to understand, well, is there a secondary place if you're trying to move your business and revise it to move into a different space, for you to tap into that space to understand what that breadth and wealth of that area could be. So you're not flying blind. You're not really cold calling. You're qualifying and pulling people in to your world, because that's something that I think is really key for us to understand. Also, we're choosing our customers before they choose us. And this is key and proven out in Sales Navigator. You are really reaching out to pull into your space those that really fit your business's profile. So they're well qualified people that fit the persona of what you're looking for, that your products and services will match. So it's almost warmly serving clients up to you if you're intentional. And you're just not saying, well, give me some of this and some of that and some of that too. It allows you to just focus specifically on who your target audience is and those profiles and titles, the positions if you're trying to get into the entry component, because we also talk about the 3x3. Where are they in the space? Because in a lot of B2B businesses, the decision isn't just with one person. There are multiple people that need to be at the table. And LinkedIn Navigator helps you to identify who those people are, if the decision makers and the influencers, so that you can adapt and adjust your messaging to that persona of that title, of that position that person is in. So there's a wealth of information, and use it wisely is my next piece. Use it wisely. Don't let it inundate you, because you can get into analysis paralysis because of the breadth of the information. But it is literally, think of a bank vault and all of the goodies and the wealth of things that are there. It is a wealth of contacts that you should capitalize on quickly.
I love that bank vault. I love the bank vault. I love the bank vault. That is awesome. such a good analogy. Next thing, really quickly, it's the LinkedIn business page, right? It's a great place for your business and to really grow a hub, right? To create your community. That's what we're doing. We have gained about 428 followers on our business page for your business in digital in over the last 2 years, just organically. Like, we're not necessarily advertising, we're not pushing people to it. Organically, people have come in. We've gotten 105 people subscribe to our email newsletter on LinkedIn. So this business page allows you to do a lot of different things. It allows you to do the blog, it allows you to do, or the article, it allows you to do the email, the newsletter that people can subscribe to. So it's really a great tool for you, but you have to understand how you're going to utilize it, right? We don't want to give you another thing to add to your strategy. If you're like, I have to do this thing, but there's great value in it, because just like most social media platforms, staying on platform is sometimes important to your consumer. When they're ready to take the leap, they may book a session with you. They may come over to your world through your website. But in the beginning, as they're learning about you, right, as you're nurturing them, they can stay within platform. And the LinkedIn business page does a great job for that. It's a great community builder. And then I'll hit really quickly on the last point, which is running targeted LinkedIn ads to reach your audience with precision. Now, just imagine the power of that backfalls that Michelle talked about, LinkedIn Sales Navigator, and then ads. Combining those two could be powerful. The great thing about LinkedIn ads is they cost a little bit more than every other ad, right? But you know exactly where the person works, you know their title, you know who your target audience is, so you can really target them in a way that makes sense. So the ads are really, really game changing for your business. If you decided that this is the only platform, this and your website is where you want to work as a business owner, to say, hey, you know what, I can't capture and do everything. LinkedIn could be the place that you lean into it, get to that place of 100% utilization, right? So start moving the needle and building on LinkedIn, working on it, get to 100% utilization, combine that with your website, and the power could be game changing. So I'm going to pass it over to Andrea to give you 30 seconds, then Michelle, you, and then I'll wrap it up with some key takeaways. So go for it.
You know what we've shared here today demonstrates how important LinkedIn is as a tool for you in your business. We said it's nice to from nice to have to need to have. These tools are, or these elements that we spoke about, are a need to have when you're using LinkedIn in order to make sure that LinkedIn is optimized for success, and that it takes you on your entrepreneurial journey. All these tools just help taking you from one step to the next step to the next step, right? Things like making sure that from that first hello on your profile, where you're saying, hi, this is who I am, this is what I do, and this is how I help people, to making the connections that mean something. We spoke about being intent with what you say, and then we also spoke about being intent with who you want to connect with, because the end of the game, you want to be able to maximize this tool to help take your business in terms of growth, to help you hit those sales targets, and to help make sure that your business is moving from strength to strength. And LinkedIn is definitely not just nice to have, but most definitely a need to have if you are serious about taking your business to the next level.
I love this topic today. I'm so glad that you brought it into us, Tamara. From For me, from a sales and marketing, a sales and pricing perspective as well, I am speaking to you from a place of a virtual space. We need in a sales world the ability to reach many people. And this is your networking room where you can reach a lot of people quickly. And the people that you want to meet are here in the LinkedIn space. This will allow you to provide your elevator pitch with your profile, for you to network and to meet warmly contacts that are associates and friends of those that you are working with. And it will help you to improve your visibility, your know, like, trust factor. It will allow you to build your leads, and it will allow you to convert and really speak about your business in a concise fashion to the audience that you are seeking to move your business forward. So I invite you to invest time in LinkedIn with the understanding that everything that you did to develop that business plan that you have, your target audience, your messaging, all can be placed within LinkedIn, utilizing the Sales Navigator and the network of people to help your business move forward and to grow and expand, all from the seat of your office without leaving to drive to some place to do that networking. So invest that time. It's right here in front of you, all at the click of a mouse and a few buttons. Take advantage of it and move your business forward.
You ladies are so good. Wait, I need to be better. All right, there we go. All right. So I'm so glad we got to have this conversation today. And LinkedIn is a game-changing tool for you as a business owner. Even if you have a job, it's a game-changing tool for you, right? Because you still have to position yourself as a subject matter expert at your company, right? Some of the rules still apply, right? You still need to be aware of your brand, all those things. So here are some key takeaways from this conversation today. Profile optimization. It is really key for credibility and visibility, right? Networking with intention. Make sure that the people that are on your LinkedIn profile are the right people, right? Foster those strong, valuable connections, people that can help you move the business forward. Share great content. Share content consistently. Share great content consistently. People want to know your area of expertise. Maybe you can help them, give them a hack, give them some information that they can say, you know what, I got this, tip from Michelle and it was so good. I'm going to listen to some more stuff, because once they believe you, they start consuming the rest of your content. Use video on LinkedIn, okay? There's no reason not to use it. We are at a point where you can, Andrew said it, there's so many filters, there's so many things happening. You can actually look as great as you need to look. And the other thing is that no one cares how you look when you're giving them the information. They're just like, I like that information, I can use it, right? Also, Sales Navigator, if you're looking to build a prospect list, so many times we're trying to get in front of new people and we just don't know how to do it. So we're throwing our business cards, we're running around doing a lot of different things. Sales Navigator is a great place to start building that prospect list. And it gives you, it's almost like a roadmap, right? You can start connecting with these people offline, online, meeting the people that know them, and just really using your network in a better way to build a prospect list that could turn into a lead list. LinkedIn business page. There's the opportunity to, again, create newsletters. There's the opportunity to build a community on LinkedIn of people that follow you, listen to you, and consume your content. And then when you've done all of this, add ads on top of it, because that's really the next level to really expand that network, right? To get in front of more people with your product and services through advertising. So LinkedIn is a great tool that you can leverage to move your business forward. So as we mentioned before, right, it is no longer just a nice to have. It's something that you should be there. You should actually use LinkedIn. It is a must have for your business. If you're not using it at this point, I want you to jump in, reconsider it. It's no longer that place where you just go to get a job, right? We're way past that now. So, this was such a great topic. I'm so excited that we got to do this today. And I had a really great time with you ladies. Debbie was awesome. She had 1 million downloads. So shout outs to you, Debbie. Shout outs to you, Michael, for being on vacation in Barbados on the beach somewhere, going on a beach cruise this morning. Again, happy birthday, Rose. We love you. But Michael, vacationing, I'm just saying. No fun. Anyway, it's always great to be here with you guys. And what we want you to do is we absolutely want you to tell more people about this show, because there's value in this show. We heard you, we just told you everything. We want you to connect with us, right? So connect with us on YouTube, connect with us on LinkedIn, connect with us everywhere podcasts are found. The podcast is called Your Business in Digital, and we are doing this because we want business owners, CEOs, CFOs, any business executive to really go back to that CFO and say, hey, digital helped me increase my revenue by 10%, by 20% year over year. We want you to move beyond those likes and follows and see the results of the effort that you're putting in for digital. We know that you're all putting in a lot of effort, and we want you to see those results and reap those rewards. So spend some time telling people about this show. Come check the show out. It's a great show, I promise you. So have an amazing day, and we will see you very, very soon. Take it easy. Bye.